All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Meg DeCoite, and wow, I'm really grateful to see so many friends and colleagues here on Zoom today with me. Really appreciate that. So, thank you for attending my presentation of my Coastal Science and Policy Capstone project, Eliminating Trash on the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. And before I get started, I want to share that many of the photos in the presentation I took on a film camera that was gifted to me by my good friend Kelly McRae, including the one here on the title slide. So thank you, Kelly. All right. The Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary is the water that surrounds an island chain off of the Southern California coastline. The boundary is shown here in the green line. These islands themselves are a national park, and they sit in the confluence of two major ocean currents. So cold water comes down from the north, and warm water comes up from the south. And this supports a wide variety of life, making this area known for its beauty and abundance. I got to know the sanctuary while working as a guide and a deckhand for the national park. And during this time, I met the researchers at the Santa Rosa Island Research Station and ended up volunteering on their marine debris monitoring team since I had previous experience working in marine debris in Chile, which is a story for another time. But it's safe to say that without this deckhand role, I would definitely not be here presenting to you today. First, I want to share some important context for this region. So although the area is now celebrated for abundance and beauty, unfortunately, it has a very tumultuous history. The islands were home of the Chumash for 13,000 years, where marine resources were managed sustainably and island ecology was all in balance. But by 1817, the last Chumash were removed from Santa Rosa Island by Spanish colonizers. And in the last 100 years, the region has been exploited in a variety of ways, leaving the islands and the water surrounding them in biological ruin. So eventually, something had to be done. The near extinction of endemic species was a concern for scientists, so the national park was established to rehabilitate island ecology. And to protect the waters, there has been establishment of marine protected areas, the Marine Mammal Protection Act was passed, and the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary was designated in 1980. And nowadays, the islands still face issues that must be addressed to protect their ecosystems, natural beauty, and preserve the natural resources that people rely on. One of these ongoing challenges for the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary is the topic of marine debris, or trash on the beaches and in the water. And this is a big concern as debris pose a variety of threats to wildlife, for example, ingestion or entanglement, as well as for aesthetic reasons. Since this is a national park and a national marine sanctuary, visitors want to come and see the beauty trash-free. So the map on the right gives a broader perspective as to where these islands are. The backside of the islands over here face the open ocean, so these beaches tend to receive global trash from all over the world. And the front side is more likely to see debris from the mainland or local marine industries. And this means the sanctuary gets hit with a double whammy from debris produced by local and global consumption. Because of this unfortunate yet interesting debris mosaic, researchers have been monitoring the trash in the sanctuary for about 15 years now. There have been around 10 different groups working on debris monitoring and removal since as far back as 2006. However, this effort has been sporadic, based on opportunistic funding, and resulted in uncoordinated data management across research groups. So in order to harmonize data sets and learn from previous efforts, my capstone was created in partnership with the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary and the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation. Over the last year, I developed a report for the sanctuary that focused on major debris types by centralizing many large data sets. Then spatial and temporal analysis was conducted to directly inform pragmatic reduction of marine debris in the sanctuary. This is a necessary review of the past efforts for future growth and development of the current removal network, and the report will directly inform forward progress in policy, advocacy, and program execution. Some of the major contributors to the dataset include the Santa Rosa Island Research Station, Ocean Defenders Alliance, National Marine Sanctuary Foundation, CDOC Society, Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, and the list goes on. So clearly demonstrated by the images in this slide, this is a massively community-centered effort, which quickly became the main narrative of my sanctuary report. However, before I go into all the community-based initiatives, I want to first share some examples of the data analysis that we completed. Thanks to the expertise of my advisor, Dr. Pete Raimundi, we were able to produce an in-depth analysis. So this is using the data set from the Santa Rosa Island Research Station. And these graphs show a reduction in debris across Santa Rosa and Santa Cruz Islands. And this is due to the research station chipping away at historic trash piles. Also using the research station's data set, these graphs represent the amount of each different debris type removed over time. Clearly, two categories pop out, meaning the two most common debris types were miscellaneous plastic and derelict or lost fishing gear. Balloon debris also observed decreasing trend over time on Santa Cruz and Santa Rosa Islands, but seemed to collect at certain beaches like Soledad and Sandy Point on Santa Rosa Island. This data also came from the research station and was all shoreline based. But looking forward, I think it would be important to gain more on the water data. And one idea I have would be to host a balloon debris derby modeled off of the program created by the Sanctuary Foundation, where we would have a variety of vessels, fishing, passenger, recreational, and they can report in balloons in their location. And then the team with the most entries can win a prize. The CDOC Society did an impressive amount of underwater monitoring starting back in 2006. They were targeting derelict or lost fishing gear, which is a major concern for the sanctuary and was one of the focuses of my report. So the map on the left shows where a CDOC Society completed underwater removals of lost fishing gear. And the graph on the right shows each island in the sanctuary and some mainland locations. The majority of removed items came from just off Anacapa and Santa Cruz Islands. The sanctuary is a really important and productive region for local fisheries, so it makes sense that there would be lost fishing gear around their shorelines. Looking into CDOC data further, the graph on the left shows which type of gear were most common of the lost fishing gear removed. Here, the spiny lobster fishery produces the most by a significant amount in the thousands, where the next most prevalent, fishing nets, hasn't even reached 100. So the photo on the right shows the process of an Ocean Defenders Alliance volunteer working to surface a trap from the seafloor. And you may be wondering why so many spiny lobster traps are lost. We use data from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, or CDFW, to demonstrate why. The graph on the left shows every year the traps were reported lost. Each fishing season is represented by the years here. The data is reported by fishers and comes from the entire fishery, spanning from Point Conception down to the US-Mexico border. You may have noticed that the data doesn't start until the 2017 fishing season, and that's because 2017 is when the fishery management plan went into effect and began to require things like reporting trap loss and the addition of trap tags on each trap. For example, the photo of the tag comes from the 2023 season, which is imprinted physically in the tag. Using the lost trap data from CDFW, we compared it to the mean significant wave height, also known as large winter swells, and there's a strong relationship. The graph clearly demonstrates that years with bigger, heavier winter swells will have more trap loss. And the fishery has to operate during the winter to protect the spawning season of lobster from March to August. So I wanted to understand how long these traps remained in the environment after they're lost. I used trap tag data collected by the Sanctuary Foundation from a beach on Santa Cruz Island. And the findings on the left show the year a trap was found by us during removals, and then the year that trap was placed here, which is indicated by the tag attached. Just last year, in the 2024 removals, we found traps from almost every previous fishing season. And remember, this is just one beach on Santa Cruz Island. We think that traps are collecting offshore where they sit and wait to be tossed up onto the beach, like the 12 that we found last summer from the 2017 season. And the biggest concern with this is that while lost and underwater, these traps have the ability to continue to fish, which is called ghost fishing. And the photo shows both spiny lobster and urchin, two commercial species stuck in unserviceable and lost traps. I worked with the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation to complete the trap tag analysis and 2024 data collection. Additionally, I was lucky to be selected for the first cohort of researchers funded by the UCSC Agricultural Experiment Station. I presented these findings from yellow banks on Santa Cruz Island as part of a poster presentation at UCSC Hay Barn this last May, discussing the impacts of ghost fishing and commercially fished species. So for many of those fishery-focused graphics you just saw, this is the first time a large majority of data has been analyzed in a formal and soon-to-be publicly available manner. And through this trap retrieval, it was clear that all of the work includes a large network of passionate people, including the fishers. And my capstone quickly began to evolve to include more community-based objectives. This started during my summer placement with the Sanctuary Foundation, where I managed summer debris removals. And during the season, I got to work with the Commercial Fishermen of Santa Barbara, or CFSB, as there was a large fisher participation in this season. This season, we removed 13,000 pounds of debris from just 2 beaches on Santa Cruz Island. And here we have some of the stats. On the table, it shows that on September 16th, this removal was conducted by only fishers, these 7 participants. And the results match those of larger operations with multiple boats and volunteers. For example, following removal on November 19th, when there were 4 times as many participants. This means that these trap retrieval trips have the potential to be handed off to and managed by the fishery itself. After the summer debris removals, fishers continued to facilitate a mainland trap retrieval network. And during this time, I was living with 2 outdoor educators who kept finding traps on the beach with their classes. So I created this retrieval infographic on the left and shared it with 80 outdoor educators in 3 outdoor education programs. That has resulted in trap reporting, where the fisher is notified to retrieve their gear, and the process is facilitated by CFSB. I also created an inclusion network with 2 local junior colleges, the Santa Barbara City College and Ventura College, to identify and diversify a volunteer network that creates fieldwork and networking opportunities for junior college students. And this was really meaningful to me because it's full circle since I was a junior college student at the Santa Rosa Junior College, go Bear Cubs. And if I had the opportunity to attend a removal, it really would have been a game changer and morale booster during that time. So additionally, throughout the year, I created various outreach material for community education. The examples on the right of this slide come from the Balloon Free Seas campaign, which was shared with over 10,000 people in the Sanctuaries network and multiple social media accounts. Additionally, I created a framework to be shared with other sanctuaries. This one on the left is based on a unique collaboration between Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary and UC Santa Barbara that creates undergraduate research experience for mechanical engineering students. For example, I previously worked with UCSB undergrads to engineer a balloon that will float, but not float away. Here are some more examples of outreach I completed, and these translate some of those complex graphs you previously saw into an easily accessible format, like major debris types and what activities are likely contributing to marine debris. All these materials are included in the larger sanctuary report. So all the work over the last 2 years will be culminated into a report that will be published and available publicly by Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. And at this point, my partners are working on edits. In the summer, we're hosting a marine debris summit to discuss these findings with relevant organizations and community groups, like many of those mentioned in this presentation. And we'll be sure to incorporate their input and proceed with the publication process. So another way I communicate my work is through marine debris art. And this year, I even found time to participate in the local marine debris art show hosted by the Channel Islands National Park. This winter, I was gifted a lap loom by my aunt, and I used yarn and line from the lobster traps to create the textile in the middle photo. And I titled this piece Variating on a Loom, which was inspired by my favorite Waxahachie song. And then since starting CSP, I actually have attended 2 whale disentanglement trainings, one out of Monterey and one out of Santa Barbara. And this program trains people to disentangle whales who are caught in various marine debris. And so now I'm officially a level 2 trainee and hopefully one day can assist in a disentanglement. This not only is a meaningful response work, but also it's just really fun to get back out on the water and on the boat with some captains I used to work with at Island Packers. And most importantly, be with my community in the place we all work to protect. Looking forward, I'll continue my role with the Sanctuary Foundation coordinating the summer debris removals, and I hope past that to find a job in marine resource management or coastal management. And I learned a lot in this program, but most importantly, it reaffirmed my draw to community-centered and collaborative problem solving, and I hope to continue to do that in whatever comes next. So I want to say a massive, huge thank you to really everybody here today, but most importantly, thank you to my partner at the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation, Michaela Miller. Thank you to the National Marine Sanctuary for all the support over the past year. To my partner at the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, Sean Hastings, to my faculty advisor, Dr. Pete Raymundi, and everybody at CSP. All of you gave me the opportunity to advocate for a place that I love so much and has taught me more than I could ever imagine. So without this support, it would not be possible. And thank you very, very much. So thanks everyone for attending this presentation, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions you may have.